What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome back to the Country Roads webcast here for our May 4th transfer portal update. We've had some movement since the spring game. I talked about it on a live stream, but wanted to put it out here in a pre-recorded video as well, give you guys a proper transfer portal update, let you guys know about the player that West Virginia has brought in to help in the defensive backfield, as well as the three players that have left the Mountaineers. We knew some movement would be happening. West Virginia needing to get under their scholarship limit. They've done just that, but they're still targeting players as well. So we'll pull up the transfer portal tracker here towards the end and talk about some of the players West Virginia is still targeting in the portal. But let's talk about who's left and who's been added already via that portal, as West Virginia has brought in a transfer and lost a few. Let's talk about it here on our May 4th transfer portal update here on the Country Roads webcast. All right, let's start with the addition here that West Virginia will be bringing in. The transfer that has committed to the Mountaineers is a defensive back from Charlotte, Dantes Fagan, 6 foot, 175-pounder. Picked West Virginia over offers from other programs that he could have went to as well. Pretty sought after since he entered the portal, but visited West Virginia during that spring game weekend in which West Virginia had such a good recruiting weekend. More on that in the future here on the channel. I want to give a recruiting update as well from the high school ranks, but talking about transfer ranks, college to college here, Dantes Fagan coming over to WVU from Charlotte, going to be playing defensive back for the Mountaineers after he played last year at Charlotte. Prior to that, he was at junior college, so this will be his final year being able to play here. He will play it out with WVU, adding depth to the secondary, which West Virginia does need. We've talked about some injuries that they've been dealing with there. TJ Crandall dealing with a nagging one since he came in. Jacoby Spell sounds like it will be a lengthy injury from him. But West Virginia also lost a piece out of the defensive backfield as well. So let's pull up our transfer portal tracker here. We can add Dantes Fagan's name to the transfer in list, but let's highlight the players that have left the Mountaineers as well since the end of the spring game. All right, and as I pull up the transfer portal tracker here, you can see I've added Dantes Fagan to our transfer in list here. The most recent addition, the only post-spring addition thus far for West Virginia. But just to further highlight that transfer addition of Dantes Fagan and why I think he could be, a good player that can make an impact here for the Mountaineers defensive back room. How about a highlight from his time at Charlotte? Watch him break on this ball. He's going to be over there at the top of your screen. Nice break on this, incredible break on it really, and shows good hands and athleticism, good hand-eye coordination to be able to tip this back to himself and make this interception. Check this out. So there's a play that'll get you excited about the transfer addition for the Mountaineers. But speaking of that movement, West Virginia has had 3 players depart since the spring game, one of those being a defensive back in Montre Miller. And this one may be the more surprising. I guess didn't expect this one going into the spring, especially when West Virginia had gotten the waiver that he needed to play out his final year. But I will have to say that, during the spring game, Preston Fox made that nice touchdown grab over top of Montre Miller, and I thought Montre Miller's body language looked a little bit off there, but I'm also somebody that usually overthinks and maybe reads into stuff too much on occasion, so I was, kind of chalking it up to that. But then once I seen him in the portal, I said maybe there was a little something to that, and also we knew that West Virginia was previously already targeting defensive backs, and maybe they kind of saw the writing on the wall coming. The coaching staff did anyway. But nonetheless, Montre Miller will be playing his final year out somewhere else, it looks like, and wish him the best of luck. You guys know I was high on him since he came in last offseason. I talked about him a ton. We never really got to see him play due to the injury that he suffered, but still a defensive back, over 800 snaps at the collegiate level, never committed a pass interference penalty. So he's a guy that has a high ceiling. Hopefully he can recover from that injury and land in a good spot. Then we also had Braden Dudley leave. Kind of a guy that's been a depth player throughout his career, someone that's never really got a chance to see the field a ton. So you don't really, hold it against anyone that wants to go somewhere else and find more playing time, especially when they get up into the latter portion of their career and still find themselves, further down the depth chart. That was kind of the situation there with Dudley, and wish him the best as well. And then, of course, most recently, and probably the most hurtful one, I guess, because, it's an in-state guy, it's a local guy that came to West Virginia as a walk-on, earned a scholarship, and has really helped this team a ton, whether it be in practice, whether it be being a body when they need it at the wide receiver position, being a body on special teams, being the team's longtime holder until the injury that he suffered last season. But that's Grayson Malasevich, a real program guy, been here and been a huge part of this program, and then being able to find the success that they did. So, hate to see him go, but it's also a situation where you feel like he deserves a chance to have a lot of playing time here towards the end of his career as well, because of all that he's done for WVU. And go be great, young man. That's what you got to say when it comes to Grayson Malasevich. So those are the players that West Virginia has had leave the program, and of course Dantes Fagan being the one that we brought in. But how about some other targets that West Virginia is looking at in the portal? They've had some that we've talked about in the past that have committed elsewhere. So let's scroll on down here and talk transfer portal targets. We can remove these names here now. They have all committed to other programs. West Virginia, got the commitment from Fagan, stopped pursuing some of these, but I will make a couple more additions that West Virginia still does have offers out to. One of those, yet again, being a defensive back. We talked about that being a position of need. West Virginia needing depth after that Spells injury. They thought he was going to be a contributor. TJ Crandall's hamstring continues to be a lingering issue. So going into fall camp, you need to be prepared there to have, some experienced depth and some bodies there at the defensive back position, because you don't want to end up like you were last season where you were playing Montre Miller and Malachi Ruffin pretty much the entire, every game, having to play almost every snap, being like Iron Men out there. So you want to have some insurance policies there. You have Dantes Fagan coming in. West Virginia is also recruiting a recruit out of the Division II ranks in Lenore Ryan College, Cedarius Kelly. We will add him here to the list. West Virginia has sent him an offer, a defensive back that they are targeting here. So West Virginia targeting Cedarius Kelly, coming from Lenore Ryan. Like I said, another defensive back body that they are after here. We've seen them, target a few here in the portal thus far. So that seems to be something that they're after here. And they are also potentially after another wide receiver body to add to the room there. You never want to rule anyone out, especially when you're talking talented players. And a specific body types really is one of the main thing I want to highlight there as well, because, Neil Brown talked about that, I think, in the past, not really having, the bigger body, kind of taller guy that you've seen him like to have. You can go back to his days at Troy and see his offenses use that. You can look here and you see, George Campbell early on. You saw Bryce Ford Wheaton in recent years. You saw him go out and get Devin Carter last offseason to kind of fill that frame as well. So they're now targeting a wide receiver that has scheduled a visit as well to West Virginia in Trent Hudson, a transfer from New Mexico State. The Mountaineers looking to bring him in on a visit here in the near future. I'll pull up another article from WVSN letting us know when that visit may be. Thank you for them for some of the information shared in this update here. But those are the targets West Virginia is currently after: wide receiver Trent Hudson from New Mexico State and Kadarius Kelly, a defensive back from Lenore Ryan. But let's take a look here about Trent Hudson. Like I said, coming from WVSN, Mike Asti with this article. New Mexico State wide receiver planning to visit WVU after he visits an SEC school. So WVU sent Hudson an offer about a week ago as he hopes to play his final college year in a major conference like the Big 12. After taking a trip to Mississippi State, ironically his most recent offer from just a day ago, this weekend, Hudson tells WVSN that he will be visiting Morgantown the following week. So that's good. Hopefully, as long as, Mississippi State doesn't get him to commit before he can come to WVU, that's a good sign for us that he's visiting us after that, and hopefully we can be the one to secure the commitment. Once we get him to Morgantown, we know that always is a big step for prospects if we can get him on a visit. So coming here is 6'3", like we said, talking about adding that big frame wide receiver. That's kind of what the coaching staff is looking for if they're going to add a wide receiver. Ton of offers: Arizona State, FAU, Colorado State, Houston, San Diego State, mentioned Mississippi State. Before he was at New Mexico State, he spent a year at Trinity Valley Community College where he caught 50 balls for nearly 800 yards and 10 touchdowns. Last year, New Mexico State, 35 catches, 551 yards, and 10 touchdowns. So there you have it. A look at some of the targets that the Mountaineers are after, including one that's upcoming on a visit. We've highlighted the additions and the departures here in our May 4th transfer portal update. So those are kind of my thoughts, though. Would love to hear yours. Drop them in the comments on any of the targets, any of the commits, or the departures. Anything you got there, would love to hear your reaction to this news in this transfer portal update here on the CRW. And also really appreciate it if you made it this far in the video. Hit the thumbs up button. Really does help a ton with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're a WVU fan, be sure to subscribe here for further Mountaineer sports content in the future. Having said that, as always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and until next time, let's go Mountaineers.